Good morning, this is Alamon, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. I've been playing KSP for a very long time, and in fact it was Scott Manley's wonderful KSP videos that first introduced me to the YouTube gaming scene. For this video, I wanted to do some things I'd never done before, both to challenge myself and to hopefully end up with some footage that's a bit more interesting than usual. I usually don't play with many mods beyond the basics like Mechjeb and Kerbal Alarm Clock and so on, so I decided for this video I would install Astronomer's Visual Pack, Ferrum Aerospace, Procedural Fairings, Deadly Reentry, and Infernal Robotics, all things that are new to me. And what better way to use those mods than to do a robotic mission to Eve? Well, today's the day. We launch at dawn. Alright, let's accelerate time a bit to get to that lovely sunrise, and just look at those clouds. That is so beautiful on time accelerate. And there's the sun. Just gorgeous. Alright, let's get ready for ignition. We have our SAS on. And there we go. Release launch clamps. And we're up. Nice smooth launch. Excuse my fiddling with the camera here. Just absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. The perspective you get with those clouds and kind of the middle ground there. This is something that stock KSP certainly doesn't have, and it adds so much. Now, I have to admit, I was a little worried in installing Ferrum Aerospace. I thought that I was going to have rockets that just flipped out of control and did all kinds of weird things, but I guess just having a nice, simple vertical shape with a fairing is all you really need, and then it seems like everything just behaves the way it should. So, here we go. Continuing on our mission here. Of course, it takes a little while to get to orbit, and okay, that doesn't look good. No. Okay, let's cut our engines. Let's see if we can get our reaction control wheels to straighten ourselves out. We certainly have quite a few of them. All right, let's push. No, that didn't work. Not sure what happened, but let's try our, thrust vectoring. See if that'll get us on track. So let's fire our engine. Nope, that's just making it worse. There's something clearly wrong with this stage. Emergency stage separation. We're actually going to have to use our injection engine just to get into orbit. Let's go, 3, 2, 1, and fire. And yes, we've straightened out. Well, that was an interesting first experience with Ferrum Aerospace, I have to say. Alright, and continuing into orbit. Going for an apoapsis of about 200 kilometers. Now I decided, because we don't actually have enough fuel in this stage for our injection burn, we're just going to have to let our probe go by itself. So there they go, the fairings. There are the beautiful solar panels. I didn't plan for it to look that cool, but it really does look amazing. And we're going to do this stage separation. Now our payload has both the lander as well as this sort of supplemental drive stage with a bunch of ion engines, 6 ion engines. And so this is actually more than capable of doing the rest of the mission just by itself. Alright, so here is our circularization burn, and it's very boring to watch ion engines burn, so we're going to roll straight from this into the tail end of our Trans-Eve injection burn, which took a couple passes, but there we are. Now we're leaving Kerbin. Just look how beautiful that is with those clouds. I'm still blown away. I've seen it in other people's videos, but I've never installed a mod like this myself. There's the moon, and if you look closely, you can actually see Minmus. Now there's the Kerbal, the sun, and there's just this lovely family portrait, this celestial waltz. And especially when we have time going faster, it just looks so amazing. Here we are in nice interplanetary space, headed toward Eve. The friendly purple giant. Now, I think, a lot of people like to do aero capture, but I'm not sure that that's ever actually been done in real life. Aero braking certainly has been done a lot, and even with Venus, the Magellan probe did aero braking, but not aero capture. As far as I know, everyone has always used engines for capture, and only used very conservative aero braking to then bring down your, the apoapsis over a long period of time. So anyway, after an embarrassingly long time of orbital tweaking later, we set up our final descent trajectory. Now in Mechjeb, if you use the aerobrake calculator, you can actually get a really nice shallow trajectory just by burning retrograde until the node just barely disappears. And that tells you that you're not going to come back out of the atmosphere. You're just going to smoothly cruise all the way down through it. And now here we are. We're speeding up toward our final descent. Now there are a couple graphical glitches here. The cloud layer kind of clips in and out. But there we go, and look at that beautiful planet. The horizon's also pretty amazing too. Alright, time to separate from our ion engine-powered stage. And now we just have our lander, which has no engines whatsoever. Just has a heat shield. And then the body of the lander itself. So we're coming in shallow, and we don't have that much orbital velocity because we did this final descent from a fairly low orbit. And we can see we've already now been captured. We are no longer considered to be in orbit from that camera change. And things are starting to heat up a little bit, but it still seems very manageable. Alright, we're starting to see a little bit of fireworks here. Look at how wispy that upper atmosphere is. It really is absolutely beautiful. The horizon seems a little buggy with the way that mountains stick out. Okay, we're getting a little hotter. But that's what the heat shield's for. Wow, like a big orange button. Yeah, excuse these screenshot sounds. I didn't realize that Fraps was going to capture that. Just lovely. But we're getting very, very, very hot at this point. Starting to get a little worried about the other parts, because heat does conduct from one part to the next. Even if you have a heat shield, that doesn't guarantee that you're going to be fine, especially if you have a very steep descent profile. But it looks like we're probably going to be okay. We can hear the sound starting to dissipate. Re-entry effects are starting to fade away. And there we go, we're through the worst of it. Here we are now, falling and going to deploy our parachutes. And that'll slow us down quite a bit. But just look at those clouds, it's just gorgeous. That horizon looks quite a lot like chromatic aberration to me, but that would be a strange thing to simulate. Chromatic aberration, by the way, being a visual artifact that occurs when a lens bends different wavelengths of light slightly differently, so that on one edge you get kind of a reddish look, and on the other edge you get kind of a bluish look. You see this a lot with sort of telephoto lenses, and even with your glasses if you look at just the corner of the lens. Alright, there we go, through that soupy atmosphere. Now, our radar altimeter says we're close to... Whoa, yep, there's the ground. That looks very close, and it looks very, very steep. Well, let's get rid of our heat shield. Three, two, one... Happy New Year! Okay, well... Still looks a bit steep. Now, I absolutely love the atmospheres. I have to admit, though, that Eve, with this mod, looks a little bit like a big chunk of congealed Pepto-Bismol. I don't quite like how aggressively pink it is. But here we go. Still worried about that slope, so let's put one leg straight downhill. And we're also going to lock the suspension. That can help a bit, so it won't roll as much onto that leg. Alright, here we go. Don't fall, don't tip, don't tip, don't tip. And it didn't tip. Beautiful. Alright, let's unlock that suspension. And it's time to say hello to everyone back home on Kerbin. So let's open our high-gain antenna. And then play around with these robotics parts a little bit. Let's tilt. And let's rotate. And man, compared to just your normal static KSP parts, where the most sort of dynamism you get is with stage separations and so on, that's just absolutely incredible. Being able to have parts that tilt and rotate and telescope in and out. I don't know quite how much practical use there is for it, other than, things like refueling vehicles and so on. But such a fun thing to play around with, and just look at that landscape. Alright, now it's time for the nice, dramatic zooming out back through that gorgeous cloud layer. Beautiful. What a lovely planet. Alright, well, I've been Alamon. Good night, sleep tight, and don't let the Kraken bite. Bye-bye.